I forgot how I get those pictures out of my way on that screen. How do I get our pictures up to the top, you guys?
I think because I have the screen shared with the budget on it, you'll just be on the side. Unless you click out of my screen sharing, if you want to see yourself.
No, I don't care about that. The pictures are just covering the right-hand side of your report.
At the top, Barb, at the top of the block where the pictures are,
Mhm.
there is an underline on the top left that says hide thumbnail video. That should make it collapse.
Oh, I'm not finding it yet, Jack. Let's see.
I mean to turn it on.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting.
Hey, Larry.
I can't find it, John.
Could just click on the top and just drag it across your screen to the, to the right so it doesn't cover the numbers.
You do that too.
Yeah,
But
that
where-
did it. Thank you.
But where you drag it is where that little underline is. There's the
I
three
see.
little buttons. The one will make it kind of disappear.
I just drug the whole thing and moved it over just a little. Now I got the whole picture. Thanks.
That'll work.
Thanks, Dwayne. Thanks, John.
Mhm.
All right, the link is going out now and we are live, so you can start and they can rewind to the first 10 seconds of the meeting. We're
Thank you.
good.
Good afternoon, everybody, both here at Cypress Woods and they're still up north or wherever you may be. We are meeting today, Wednesday, October 28th, and our one and only topic is preparing our workshop for the 2021 HOA budget. So before we get started, let's go ahead and do a roll call. Barb Burge,
Here.
John Genevieve,
Here,
Joe Regenstein,
Here.
Dwayne Truitt,
Here.
Gary Washburn,
Here.
Pat Zolo. Thank you very much. Before we get started into looking at every line item of our proposed 2021 budget, I just kind of want to preference a few things here. Each month your board reviews our financial reports in great detail. We monitor what items are over on expenses, which ones were under on expenses, if we're going to have a net gain or a net loss. And then we actually tie that into our project list that we prepared in January of this year to make sure that we're on target, which ones are updated, which ones are completed, which ones are still to schedule, etc. And we also look at any of the unplanned, what I call like emergency projects. So we stay very, very aware at any given point or where we are financially. The board, in preparation for today's meeting, has been given a glossary of the GL codes, general ledger codes. The board has been given an updated proposed 2021 project list. The board has been given a proposed budget and the key drivers that are going to determine this budget. And we did present it to the board about 6 days ago and asked that if they had any questions to go ahead and give David or myself a call so we could kind of prepare them ahead of time and try to facilitate this workshop as much as possible. I do want to bring out also that we prioritize the budget by number one, safety issues. Number two, code compliance. Number three, preventive maintenance, comfort and enjoyment, and aesthetics. And we always try to use that as a priority of setting what our expenses are or our projects are. So this year we have 9 key items that are going to drive our budget. Legal fees, pool contracts, lawn care maintenance, we've added a new GL code for just road repairs, which are inevitable. Irrigation repairs and maintenance. We've added a second GL code called capital improvement to our buildings. And we actually have 14 projects that we have identified and that we're proposing. Of those 14, 7 will be taken out of our operational budget and 7 will be taken out of our reserve budget. Please note, owners, that we are on county notice with 2 mandatory major projects. One is the Welcome Center pool and deck. And 2, of course, is the non-compliant old maintenance location area that has to be moved. So I wanted to set a preference and give you a heads up before we really get into the depth of the budget discussions here. And those are the things that we have used as our drivers and projects. So what we'll do is we'll start out with all the expenses and then end up with our revenue. So if the board will go ahead and get the proposed budget in front of them, we'll go down to account 50005 under the administrative expenses, which is the first that we're going to look at. I'm just going to I'm going to go down each item, and if there is or is not a discussion, we're going to move through this until we hit a discussion item, and then we'll keep the discussion hopefully to about 5 minutes, okay? Number 1 is our accounting fees. We don't see any change over last year, 6,000.
Deb, could I request that we have David scroll down on the screen share? Because right now all we're looking at is the revenue items.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Sorry,
can't
Dwayne,
see
I have
behind
2
me.
computers in front of me and I was scrolling on the wrong one.
All right.
Okay, thank
Good.
you. So as I said in the beginning, the accounting fees, that's pretty much our annual audit. We don't see any increases in that. The next expense are bonuses. Actually, that's part of our payroll plan to our employees. We've set it equal to last year. If you'll notice, we budgeted our legal fees up by $10,000 to a grand total of $70,000. That seems like a lot of money, but guess what? We're spending that right now, and we don't anticipate much change. The legal fees will include owner issues, delinquencies, rewriting of our documents, which are outdated, bringing all of the E-requirements and amendments into line, of which I know that they're going to do some share costing on that with us. But it is what it is, folks, and I'd rather we plan accordingly than get some surprise hit on that. Any discussion on that? Okay. Licenses, no change, $1,000 per year. Management collected fees, no change on that, 2,000. Social events, just so everyone understands, that is just a number that is plugged in. We're required to do so by our audit to have an offsetting expense for 20,000 as well. It's an in-out figure. So it doesn't really affect our revenue and it doesn't affect our expenses at all. The administration, we have decreased that by $1,000 based on the annualized trend of this year. Admin mileage, we have kept it the same at $300 a year based on 52 cents per mile traveled. Office supplies, we kind of thought about this a while, and we're going to have considerable increase over what we normally have because we are adopting our new logo. We will have our new logo, and we'll have to have some updated letterhead envelopes, door stencils, stickers, you name it. So we wanted to account for the printing of our new logo. The web page internet, now that looks as though it's an increase. The only reason it's an increase, we took it from one expense center, voided that expense center out, and added that expense into truly web and internet. So all web, all internet is in one location and not hidden within another GL code.
Deb?
That wasn't part of the phone.
Say that
Moved
again.
The phone to internet based.
Yes. Yes.
The telephone. So the only
Right.
thing left in telephone is the CenturyLink pool lines right now. All Comcast has been removed from that line.
Excellent. Barb, please.
Yes, yes. My question, Deb, is what GL code did we do away with and added in with 50125?
Hold on just a second.
Barb,
Because
54100-00 telephone, we took a significant portion of that and moved it. It was budgeted at 7,500, but it's been moved all up, or mostly into webpage, and now we're only budgeting 2,000. 5,500 was moved.
It's in the utilities section, Barb.
I see that, what he's talking about, Deb, but if we moved it, why are we still budgeting 2,000?
We still have an expense. We only moved a portion of that line item. So telephone is just used right now for the CenturyLink phone bill and all of the Comcast, which includes the internet, Comcast telephone service, and any of the TV service that we have in these buildings is all moved to the webpage and internet. So all Comcast, besides the bulk account, are in the same place, and the CenturyLink telephone line itself is separate because there's no breakdown between telephone and the internet on the Comcast
I've got you.
bill.
So then what is 54100-01 budgeted for $600? Which one is that?
Yeah.
'Cause
That's gonna
bill
be-
telephone.
That is going to be our maintenance person's reimbursement of cell phones.
What?
You want me to say it again?
It's
No, I mean, we
So the-
did that with Jay's, and why are we still having that in here? Jay's not here.
well, Chris is here, and we're still calling Chris after hours, multiple times a week for water breaks and
I
gate
understand.
gate
Yeah.
breakdown. So it's extending the same thing that was given to Jay to Chris, since he has stepped into that 24-hour, on-call role.
I've not noticed it in any bills. Have we already been doing that, which we should?
We have not started it until we were putting it back into this budget because we did remove it from the 2020 budget. We haven't paid Chris's
Okay.
yet. So-
All right, thank you.
We felt it was a fair and equitable thing to do for
I
someone
do
who's on
too.
call. Okay, good. All righty, so the administrative overall is a 12% increase over last year when you look at the grand total. All righty. The next section is our property insurance, and our past president, Judy Lawrence, who is a expert on insurance, has been monitoring this and still working with our insurance companies, and they have proposed a 15% increase to us this year, going from 31,000 to 35,000. So there's a 15% increase in that section. Moving
Wow.
on.
We know that for sure?
Yeah,
That's a big increase.
it is a big increase, but I can tell you, we've had claims, Barb.
Oh, I know that.
Okay. So, all righty. Under utilities now, under the street lights, the electricity, we have decreased that based on current year usage. Now, we also know that 2020 tend to cut short last year. A lot of people left at the last moment, in March. We really can't predict, what's going to happen this year with COVID. But we did go on last year's trends as far as at least a guidepost to follow. The clubhouse electricity, no change, 45. My voice just changed. Did volume go up? Okay.
You're now in the room, so you don't
Okay.
have to yell to us.
Thank you.
They could still hear you the same online, I believe.
Okay. The next is electricity lift station, no change there. On the irrigation, we have actually decreased that, the electricity usage by 2,000, again, based on trend. Electricity for electric fountain and irrigation, we considerably dropped by 1,500, again on trend. Maintenance building, we kept it the same, even though we're going to have a different one. If anything, it'll be more efficient than probably the other one. Water and sewer, again, no
Deb, can I
change.
stop you, please, before you go
Yes.
to electric?
Right.
I looked at the electric bills on a total basis.
Okay.
And our actual year-to-date electric that we have paid through September is 36,400. And with 3 months left to go at using the budgeted rate per month of 53.79, that would add another 16,129. So that would mean that we're projected to come in for total electric at 52,494. So,
52,494.
yes.
Okay, and I don't have, did you
total-
add up what our 2021 proposal electric is? A grand
Yes, I
total?
did. It's 56.5. And our total budget in this year was 64.5.
Yeah, it's considerably under.
Yes, and we're projected to be even considerably under the budgeted for 2021
Okay.
by the tune of $4,000 or for,
About 4, yeah.
yes.
So are you saying you're comfortable or uncomfortable with what we're proposing?
Well, in that case, didn't we hear that FPL rates were going to go down this next year? We talked
I
about
did-
that a while back.
No, I haven't heard of a decrease. As far as they've told for service, there's been no projected increase for 2021. I haven't heard about a decrease.
Okay.
Except I think there is a fee that's on every person's meter. So each meter has a $5 fee attached from Hurricane Irma every month, but that's not enough to make a change in the budget for. That's the only decrease I know of. And that may have ended in 2019 anyway.
So right now collectively, we're planning about a $4,000 increase over what we are predicting to end up with 2020, correct, Barb?
That's correct, Deb.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate those numbers.
I have one question on the electric. Going back to the street lights,
Streetlights, okay?
we're running under budget. I don't know how the fact people left early has any effect on that.
They put a lot of fluorescent lights in those, which really should have cut back the,
That's actually
Yeah.
why. So
LED.
we're projected to
LED,
finish
right.
Okay.
Okay.
at 1,400. I put it at 1,500, just because it's a nice round number in case there is a small increase.
Okay.
But the everything that goes out right now is being converted to LEDs. So
That's
And
fine.
Joe,
they'll be more
initially,
efficient and cost less.
and initially it cost us a little more because those light bulbs are so expensive, but it's going to work out better.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure. We don't have a program officially yet to start changing them out. We're waiting
We
for
do them
the
as
time.
they
As they go
as
out.
they die, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Because the conversion kits are pretty expensive, but
Right.
So we'll sit on that. And Barb, thanks for those numbers. I think we left on water and sewer, right?
Yes,
Okay, so really no change there, 188,000.
I have something to say about that too.
And Barb will.
Barb, are you talking? Because I keep hearing an echo.
I'm saying that I have something to say about that before you go past water and sewer.
make the computer up a little higher.
Did you hear that?
Try again, Barb.
How about now?
There you go. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, under gas, fuel, and oil.
No,
no
I
change.
want to
Wait, where's-
go, I want to stay on water and sewer.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Once again, our year-to-date actual as of the end of September is 126.8. With 3 more months using the budgeted figures, we're projected to come in at 173,882. So why the increased plan? Which would be an increase over the actual of around 14,000. We didn't even come in close to the 188,250 budgeted for this year. because we're gonna be projected to come in at 173.8. So can you
Okay,
explain
so
what?
let me repeat what I think you said, just so everyone hears the same thing. We're on trend right now for 2020 to do roughly 173.9. I'm rounding it off, okay?
Mhm.
And we're budgeting 188, so that's roughly 15 grand we're budgeting over what our trend is.
Correct.
Okay,
Why are we budgeting 15,000 more than we probably are projected to need?
well, we could definitely trim that down. I think it would be fair if we're budgeting roughly 14,000 over. I think we should meet that halfway and maybe take this down to like 181.
Yeah, when we did this, the thinking was,
It was 188, 250.
Right.
well, people left early this year because of COVID.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
People left early this year because of COVID is what we discussed when we were doing this. So we don't know if everyone will be back down on time and if everyone, we know, I think some of the Canadians won't be down this year, but that may change also as they're opening up the border. So we don't know how slow we'll be, but
Did you say they are opening up the border?
That's what they're talking about. By January, they'll be allowed to travel without their travel insurance.
Okay, I hadn't heard that yet.
Well, I have heard it, but I don't know if it's true.
Hey, David,
And if,
Yes,
can
John.
you all hear me?
I hear you.
Okay, great. Won't some E be coming online this year? And won't that affect that bill?
No.
Dwayne, can you comment
Well,
on that?
yeah, this was something we were going to bring up sooner or later anyway. At this point, we don't know precisely when the lots will come online because we've been held back somewhat by the county's review process. We still don't have our zoning approval yet. We were hopeful that we'd have it by this fall, but right now it's maybe looking more like possibly as late as January. It'll take roughly 6 months to build out the lots. It'll take a little longer than that to build out the clubhouse and pool facility, but roughly 6 months to build the lots. It also will be affected by, we're working on a potential, which we cannot promise to anybody, but it's at least a potential that might enable us to avoid having the construction traffic run through the rest of the resort as we had thought we were going to have to do. And if that were to be the case and we got our zoning approval, let's say January, we would look at probably having our lots opening up somewhere in the mid to late summer timeframe. So yeah, there would be some expenses from that, but at the same time, we have two other factors that will affect this entire budget. Number one is any lots that we sell to a third-party buyer, as soon as they close, they start paying HOA fees. So, there'll be an increase in cost for things like water usage. Probably not much difference in power usage, but definitely water usage. But at the same time, there'll be an offsetting revenue from those HOA fees. For those lots that we haven't yet sold to a third party, but which we have available for rent to third parties, we are committed by our agreement with the HOA to pay whatever, cost impact there is from that, whether it's, lights, street lights, landscape maintenance, water usage, whatever. I mean, we'll have to figure out how we define what those extra costs are, but we will do that. And so in other words, it should be a net zero impact on the budget in terms of revenue versus cost, but the numbers will definitely increase on both sides of the ledger.
Yeah.
But as you said, it could be a net zero. And I'm going to make a comment and then Gary asked for the floor. I don't think everyone heard this, but as you know, Pat Zolo, he monitors our website for owners that want to rent their lots. And he said right now, those that put their lots up for sale, for rent, especially the Canadians who were locked in, they're all rented, right, Pat? They're going. Yeah. So that could tell us that our occupancy is still going to be
That's
pretty
my comment.
decent, right?
That was my comment.
Okay.
A lot of these Canadians have already rented their lots, so they will be full this year compared to last spring.
Deb,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Deb,
Barb, you're next.
I'd like to propose something, since David is concerned that people left early and maybe that affected this billing. I would like to propose that we look at 2019 and see how those figures went before we decide on halving the 14,000 that we're not projected to spend.
You'll have that probably yet today.
All right.
And maybe right now.
Couple seconds.
Couple seconds. So,
Or
we'll
a
put
minute.
that.
So if you want to move on,
Yeah, we
I
will.
do this while you're.
So we'll come back to that after we finish utilities, okay, if he's ready. So the next one is the gas, fuel, and oil. I think that's propane, isn't it? I gotta look up my glossary here. Am I right on that, Pat? Okay, yeah, that's our propane for our laundry, so there's no change there.
Deb, I
500
thought that, excuse me, I thought that our average usage of propane was like $500 a year.
That's what it is, and that's what we budgeted.
No, you
Oh, wait,
budgeted
I was on
1,500.
gas, fuel, and oil. I'm sorry.
Propane.
But that's one of those things, it's like cyclical. Every other year we get hit with that.
But it averages 500 a year, Pat.
Like what she said.
It averages
But we can't really make 500 a year.
I
We
can't
spent 500
understand.
filling, we spent, it was 500 to fill our laundry propane partially. And they didn't continue to fill it when they realized that our gauge is broke, because they said they can't replace the gauge until the tank is empty again. So once he saw that the tank or the gauge wasn't moving when he was filling, he stopped and said, we only put, half the capacity in for the $500, and we'll be back to, we'll fix the gauge and fill it again the next time it needs to be filled.
When was that,
So
David?
that was earlier in the probably February or so when that ran out. So at some point, maybe this year, we should run out again, depending on laundry usage. But we have to run the tank completely dry for them to replace our gauge. So that'll happen at some point, but they can get out here within, a day and get us back up and running, which is the plan for right now.
And if we have to have a new gauge, is that at our expense?
It's
Yes.
not our,
And so that would be not under this account. It would probably go under repairs and maintenance then.
It could go under that account, but the gauge is about $100.
That's all?
Yeah.
Okay.
is it our tank or is it their tank?
It's our tank.
Sure.
Barb, do you have a proposal then on this?
On the propane?
Propane?
Yeah, I propose to drop it to 1,000.
I'm fine with that.
Fine with me.
John, are you gone? John might have had to sign off. Dwayne, you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Pat,
Yeah.
are you okay dropping it? Okay.
Up above on the gas, fuel, and oil, we only spent $42 a year or excuse me, we only spent, what was it?
So 2019 water, sewer, we were 165,000. And I know there's been an increase in the actual price since then. So about 3% for 2019 or 2020, I'm sorry, 2020. We increased 3%. So
2019 for the total was what, David, that we spent?
165,000 year end. So we may be a little bit high. We did put that increase in for 2020's budget. But we're high. So I think we probably could, if we go back to 2019 usage trends,
Yeah, we
either
were
meet
way
in the
high.
middle, drop down to 180 or so.
Something else, Barb, it could be that a lot of our lot owners are also putting in LED lights in some of their street lights or something like that. Is that wired up to their lots?
So, well, this is,
Oh,
we're just
Well,
talking
water,
water and
sewer,
sewer.
Deb.
Maybe people quit washing their cars as much or hooking up
Well,
irrigation.
one thing for
every day.
sure, if we didn't have an increase in price, which I don't believe we did, David. If we didn't have an increase in price, we certainly had an increase in water and sewage usage instead of a decrease for 20.
so Barb, can you make a proposal?
Yeah, I'd like to propose we at least drop it down to 180,000.
That's pretty close to what I recommended 10 minutes ago. So that sounds like we're thinking.
7,000 versus 8,000, but
Yeah.
I think it's still high, but I would be in agreement with that.
Anyone opposed to dropping it to 180,000?
No,
No, I don't think eight.
Okay. Done deal. Thanks, Barb. Okay, I think we're back on telephone now, and we had, wait a minute, Joe's asking.
What did we do on the old,
On what?
on the propane?
Propane, we went to 1,000 from 1,500. The telephone, we've already discussed that we transferred roughly 5,500 from that account and included it, the phone lines that power the webpage and the internet. So it's a switcheroo.
That's the account that the fire pit comes off of also,
Yes.
because that's been getting more use year after year.
That one has not been filled in the time that I've been here.
Right. We're okay.
We just can't roast marshmallows.
Can't understand, Joe.
She can't hear you. Huh? She can't
That
hear
was
you.
can't
Pat
understand.
talking.
You're on, Pat. Go ahead. They can hear you. You just got to talk close to it.
All right.
I mean, you can pull the thing out if you want.
Okay.
So- So, Barb, I don't know if you could hear, but what we were just saying was, it goes up and down. One year we spend the money, one year we don't. And the only thing I said was that we haven't refilled the fire pits in the time that I've been here. They're still full from the 2018 or early 2019 fill up, I guess.
And how big a tank is that?
I don't know the size of either of them. I think that one costs about $700 to fill with current prices. So I think it's the same
One
size
does?
as our laundry tank, maybe less.
Which one?
Fire
which-
pits.
Oh, it's easy to
Okay.
check the records.
All righty.
188.
I think we're okay. I really do. Do you think we're okay with 180?
Wait, we're not on that anymore, right? We're stopped at 180. We're on propane for 1,000.
Okay, Joe, I'm sorry, Joe took it backwards a little bit here.
No,
I
Okay.
can't understand Joe at all. I can't hear him.
Make sure you're talking to they can't hear you. in
I
the
wouldn't
computer.
drop the propane.
It's at 1,000 now. You're saying leave it at 1,000 or keep it at 15.
I am looking at 500, 1,500.
It was proposed to drop to 1,000.
I'd say leave it at the 1,500.
I
Why?
think we're okay with 1,000.
It's $500 is almost worth not
Not talking.
discussing.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
if we run over $500, then it'll be made up elsewhere. These are only best guesses.
Okay. Okay, let's stay on target here and stay on point, folks. We've already talked about the telephone. We have our reasons for that. And the last one is telephone reimbursement of $600. You know what? Just let me look that up real quick.
The telephone.
That's the reimbursement.
The telephone reimbursement is we used to pay Jay, I think, $53 a month for his cell phone. So with Chris, we figured, look, we can make it an even $50.
I
We'll
believe
give
we
him a
paid him
disbursement
55. David.
quarterly. I'm sorry, Barb.
I believe we paid him 55.
Yeah, it was around there. He paid his bill in cash, and we would just reimburse him directly. So we'll do the same with Chris.
Yep, we want to
We
be
did
fair.
it out of petty cash, by the way.
Yes, and this will still be paid the same way out of petty cash.
With receipt.
but you know, it'll still have to come out of the budget. It'll be allocated to that line item when we expense the petty cash.
Okay,
All right.
that finishes utilities. Let's go into our contracts. Now stay with us, folks, okay? If you want to, tell me immediately if you want to talk about something. Alarm services. We took a small drop on that from 5,500 down to 5,000. David spoke with Cablevision. There will be an increase going from 190,500 annually to 202,000 annually.
Right, and that's in our contract.
And that's in the contract, right? Exactly. Okay. This one is contracts for our pool services. And I'm going to let David take this. I believe he handed to everyone. We're not going to vote on this now. We just want to hold a place on the budget for it because we don't vote during this meeting. That will be on the November 6th meeting. But last year, our budget was 16,400. We're proposing 24,000. Dave, would you give your explanation?
Well, actually, yeah, so we put 24,000 in as sort of a, as an estimate and a placeholder, knowing that we want to, for this upcoming year, increase our level of pool service. We did, you know, we upgraded to Pool Pros, and their maintenance is much better than American Pools was, but their repair service and keeping the pools running has not been good. You know, so it's another one of those, you get what you pay for, and they are not extending the $500 a month discount they gave us initially. So 24,000 would be our new cost to stick with our current pool provider, roughly, because it would go to $19.50 per month. I actually wanted to increase this number. I did send out one of our new pool bids. It was, I think, $24.50 per month for Tri-City pools, and that is in line with all of the other pool quotes that have been received in the past, aside from Pool Pros, who did it at a discounted rate, and American Pools before them. But all of the other prior pool bids that this place has received were right in that ballpark between 24 and 2,700 a month. I think, given the use of the pools and the amount of problems that we have, I think that's a place where we really do need to spend the money, get a top tier provider. And with that $24.50 per month, I had to double check that number, but it was sent out in the quote to everyone.
It was $24.50.
Right. So that includes 7-day-a-week testing. It's still cleaning 3 days a week like we get now, but they will be on site every single day, testing our water, recording the water levels, which is required by the county. You know, it can be done other ways. You know, we could pay Chris or someone to come in here on the weekends and do that, but he's not a certified pool operator. So it's not the same thing. For that little increase, you're getting, you know, a sort of a top tier vendor in Southwest Florida, and also 7-day-a-week testing. So I think this needs to be increased, and that's, well.
David, I have a question.
Okay, Barb, can you hold? Gary asked for the floor first, and I'll
Sorry,
get right
yeah.
to you, okay?
Yes.
David, does that include emergency service
Does it include emergency
Yeah.
service?
out of hours?
No, this is a maintenance cost only. So any repairs that have to be done would be billed at an additional,
$119. That's
that's,
what was on the proposal.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
well, that's true of our company now, and it was with American Pools also. This is just the contract price, but any repairs that are done, or if we do need an after-hours service call for some reason, there's always a cost.
Okay, Barb, you have the floor.
Thank you, Deb. David, under this 60021 75B, we have only spent $596 year to date in actual cost for this GL code. What's the deal here?
Barb, Pool Pros is billing us annually. So we will spend the full budgeted amount at $14.50 per month. We just haven't received their annual bill today. We only get billed for maintenance right now, and there may have been some carryover from from American Pools. There may be some carryover from last year, but Pool Pros will just be giving us one bill for the $14.50 per month. And that will be processed, I would assume, in November for the full year. So we did plan on, at the end of the year, spending that full contract amount.
Barb, can I ask you a question? What
Yeah.
figure did you quote for the first 9 months that we paid on that pool contract?
I didn't quote anything except going by our budget versus actual figures to date.
What are you looking at? I plugged that in myself too.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
That's a different sheet. So on the one that was out, the draft shows our actual
Uh-huh.
budget year-to-date number, but when we were calculating, we knew that we will have that expense. It's a contract price, $14.50 per month. It just hasn't been billed yet. We thought they were billing us in advance, but actually, he said, we'll just get the bill.
Okay.
Okay.
I still don't understand what's going on with that billing.
Let me explain it. Barb, when they signed a contract with us this year, it was going to be based on an annual billing. We have not received a bill from our current pool vendor for their weekly service for several months now. We're going to receive a year-end bill based on that contract price in December. So it should come up to close to what we had budgeted.
That's
Right, and
amazing.
this was all discussed when we switched, because they also did the pool resurfacing. It's the same company. So to do annual billing, we got a couple months of service for free, and then we're giving us the bill.
Right.
They
Joe, you
took
have a
over last
question?
year.
Yeah, just Dave,
Speak up.
Dave, real quick. They're talking about performing daily water testing in the above pricing, which will be done on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sunday. They're missing a few days.
No, sorry, those are the testing days outside of our service days.
Oh,
So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are
Yeah.
the cleaning and service days where they also test the water, but those are the additional only test days. They won't be cleaning the pool on those days.
But board, let me go back to the proposed 24,000. Please understand that the bid in front of you for 2450 per month equates out to 28,800 a year.
I get 29.
We're,
29,400.
oh, sorry, 29.4, but we're planning 24,000. If we want top tier, which we've never had, this business, I think this company's been in business 62 years. They're known as one of the leaders in Fort Myers. You know, we can plan 24 as a placeholder, or we can up that. It's up to the board, which you're comfortable with. Any input?
If we know we're gonna go with them or someone in that level.
He's got two more, he has two more bids
What I'm
coming.
saying is, if we know this is where it's gonna be, why not budget it?
I agree. You know,
We just saved it on the electric.
the issues that I have daily in here are pool related. So, yeah, I think we need to just
Yeah.
put the expense in.
Just
and,
take the 8 grand we just saved out of electric and put it in pools.
Okay, so there's a proposal to up this to 29,000,
29.4.
29.4. Anybody opposed?
Do we know what the other bids are yet?
No, he's still got two
We
coming
don't
in.
have any other current bids yet. We're waiting on Jackson Pools, which is now Healthy Pools. And I always forget the name of the company, but the ones that installed our new pool heaters based out of Cape Coral. Both of them are still going to bid this. But I looked at all of our bids that we've had historically. And they were between 23 and 2,700 a month. So this is right in line, and we know that this is, you know,
Okay.
it's a good ballpark.
Deb,
And we'll have the finals before we.
Okay, so Barb, you have a question?
no, I just would like to make a statement. I'd like to have us put that on hold before we increase or decrease that until we have more information, which we will have before we have to have a deadline vote.
No, we
No.
won't.
We have to have this out 30 days in advance to get to our owners. And the schedule that I sent out to the board last week is this needs to be approved as a preliminary approval and sent to the community by tomorrow.
Barb, we definitely don't have to make the vote that soon, but we do have to plug a number in here. And if we plan on increasing, you know, we should be budgeting for that increase, whether we take it or not. We can always stick with the company we have now. We'll just run under budget, which I'm sure will get used somewhere else with the amount of issues we have.
I hate that statement. Sorry.
So I know that Joe and Pat, they want to go ahead and budget the 29. Gary,
Yeah.
29. Okay. Barb, you do not, right?
I do not, right.
Okay. And Dwayne,
29.
okay, we'll go ahead and plug in the 29 then as a figure. And then if we do get to it, when we get the other bids, and if they're just as, their references check out and their reliability checks out, and if they're lower, we decide to go with them. It's always nice to be able to go down. We just can't go up without, once we've sent it out to the
That is
Community.
correct. Yeah, we can,
decrease.
for
Yeah.
our budget adoption meeting, lower the number. We just can't
Okay.
go any higher than we. set.
All right, moving on now. We're on compactor lease, and that's exactly what it is. It's our trash compactor. There's no increase, $4,600 a year. Our health benefits, this is recommended by our management company, First Service Residential, that we plug in a figure where we assume that all 5 of our employees will take full benefits, correct?
Yeah, all eligible employees,
All eligible.
but
I would just
The
like to
likelihood.
remind everybody of something. We had the same discussion last year, and we put that in the budget. This year, we only had David on the whole year, and we've only going to be spending $6,132 by the end of the year. What do we do with the 23,000 that we paid for? That's my question as a owner, not as a board member. And if we plug in another 29.5, what's going to happen with the excess if we don't, once again, just have David?
well, we definitely spend all of the money that's in the budget. If we have any overage at all, any
No
surplus, it
doubt
would
about
be allocated to reserves. But just this year, we had projects pop up that we weren't planning on. A town center paint project that turned into much more.
Yes, I know.
We've got windows and things like that. We've got an endless roll of projects, and we are planning on some of these things to be a little bit lower. We did decrease some of our utilities that could potentially go up. So, it's a cushion that it definitely could be spent. We have a new housekeeper. We don't know if she'll take the benefits. She's currently not enrolled, but it's open enrollment season until the middle of November. Chris may be enrolling in benefits this year. We may have more than you've ever had in the past.
I'd like to address the community on this. First of all, I'm very proud of what we're presenting to this community. But I'm also proud of how diligent we've been throughout the year to monitor all of our financial, all of our expenses, all of our revenue. We've projected all of our projects. We've completed an incredible amount of projects because we had the funding, and we ended up with a surplus in 2019, of which we transferred to our reserve accounts. We are so underfunded on our reserve accounts that we must continue to build those. And if we budget as recommended for health benefits for all 5 employees of $29,500, and they don't enroll, which is their choice if they can't afford to enroll, we're not going to squander the money. It's going to be put into reserves if we have an excess, or into a project. Understand that, again, we prioritize projects based on safety first and then on down the line. So I feel strongly that this board is very focused on what we plan, how we plan it, and always in the back of our mind, our financial status. So I just want to remind the owners of that. With that being said, is there anyone who wants other than Barb, is there anyone else who is objective to leaving it at 29.5?
No, if you have a potential liability, you don't fund for it. That's how municipalities get in trouble. They don't fund for pension plans and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're bankrupt. So no, it's a possibility the healthcare benefits will be used, and I guess we'll budget for it.
Right.
I agree. If we have a overage, the thing is to make sure we put that overage in the reserve and not spend it the next year on projects.
Well, that's that's what the reserve is for, is projects, replacements of things that are,
but not the overage that we saved this year. Why can't we put that in the reserve so we can build up our reserve?
We did. We put $45,000 away. Yeah, we did that in August.
Mhm.
So, yep. Okay, Joe?
I
Hold,
agree with Pat.
hold. Okay, we're gonna hold the 29.5. Moving on to lake maintenance. We're planning up just a little bit from 4,300 to 4,500. Preserve and wetland maintenance, we've dropped that based on trend from 5,000 down to 3,800. The lawn maintenance, we have a contract that expires January of this year with Newell Lawn Care. They're currently at, I'm going to round this off, $150,000 a year contract for common areas.
Right?
We're planning a $200,000 budget. David, would you like to go ahead and elaborate? I can, but if you want to.
well, we are in the process right now of obtaining bids or creating the RFP to obtain bids for landscaping. And Newell is invited to that process. We've also asked Newell to give us a bid for sort of all-inclusive service, so people aren't having to call their own landscapers for their trees and shrubs and things like that. Now, there's no, we haven't discussed anything about making that change yet, but what we are doing is budgeting for a potential change in landscaper to someone a little bit more up to this park standards. We do have some bids, prior bids. Estate landscaping came in right around this 200,000 mark. We'll be sending out packets to get new bids with the specs that we wrote as opposed to what was recommended by these different landscapers in the past. So the reason 200,000 was used was, one, we know we'll get a small increase from Newell this year, and we really should. But the other part of that is it brings it more in line with all of the prior bids. And just to be honest, it's the lower prior bids that we've received, because there were some in the past, $275,000 a year for this park. I don't think anyone is ready to make that big of a leap, but I do think that we should plan for a potential change in service in 2021.
I'd like to also piggyback to let the community know that we do have a grounds committee of 2 highly qualified owners that's working with Dwayne Truitt and Dave Blauer to go ahead and put the RFP in place, send the bids out to, they'll identify 2 to 3 other vendors. This is a lengthy, complicated process that I'm not going to go into right now, but we have to consider, E's coming online. Dwayne was kind enough to tell us what his hopes are. So we have to be realistic on these costs as well, because we will be assuming common areas in E as well to maintain. Any other comments, or is that a number that we can live with?
I have a question.
Please.
David, you say you've received some bids. So are you saying that we have sent out a scope of work in order for them to bid apples and apples?
No, we haven't sent out a new RFP this year. I've just pulled the previous bids that were received for Cypress Woods in the past. Some of them were done when Tina was here, some under Steve Pigman, but there were a handful of them in the $200,000 range. And again, they weren't the best companies, but like Estate Landscaping is one that was right at that price point. And Estate Landscaping does Miramar Lakes, which is widely known as the nicest community, the #1 community in America. So, you can get a pretty good vendor for that price. Newell is just, they're very inexpensive. I mean, they're charging us about $26 per lot if you average that money out. And that doesn't include anything extra for common areas. $26 a lot, and it covers the common areas. Realistically, most of these companies would be in the $40 to $50 a lot range. So we're getting a very good deal with Newell, and I don't think we can count on that for the future. So again, prior bids is what gave us that number. I don't know what we're going to look at. If we make a change, it could be more, could be less, but we have to set the specs accordingly. And right now I'm in the process with the grounds committee members, and we'll be working with Dwayne on his needs for Laguna Caribe as well.
So Joe, hold or decrease?
I wouldn't decrease.
Hold it. Pat, hold or decrease?
Well, for a number this big in the budget, I'm okay with leaving here right now, but I would really like to see bids. This is too big a number to be thrown a dart on
Absolutely.
board.
I agree with you.
I'm comfortable right now leaving at this point, but I think before
We
we
got
pass
work.
a budget, we ought to have bids on this.
It will happen.
It won't happen. You won't have bids before we pass this budget. There's no way we'll get them in time. We'll have to give, the earliest we'll see bids come in is probably December 1st, if Dwayne and Bob and John and I can get to some sort of understanding and consensus on this RFP that's in progress right now. But
In here.
Can't hear you.
Pat,
They can't hear you.
they can't hear you in the
I
microphone.
said the budget is the same every year when it's got to be prepared. We should have bids on contracts and things before we start sitting down with the budget, or at least have it in process.
Yeah, that would have been the plan, and earlier this year I did work with John and Bob. They brought out a contractor to look at it, but we were never working off of the same RFP, the same specs. And we did have, a big meeting with Newell trying to sort of bring them up to what we're looking for. And, they haven't really reached some of those goals, which is why it's prompting the change now. Yeah, you're right. We are behind on this, and it would have been nice to have 6 months ago, but here we are. And whether we make the change in 2021 or not, I think, we're going to have an increase, and it should be roughly that number. I mean, as a starting point.
Okay.
Anything unspent can go towards replacements.
Absolutely. Gary, hold it.
David, question for you.
Yes, Dwayne.
Since it's going to take some time to do this right, Pat's correct in that this is a big number. This is one of our biggest numbers in the budget, and we want to get it right. And, I think there's kind of a general feeling that we want to do some things that maybe are a little different than what we're used to going forward. And so the question I have is, do we have to lock ourselves into a 1-year contract now, or can we put that off until later in the winter after we've really workshopped this well and, got consensus what we want to do?
We can change our landscape contract at any time. We have a 30-day out with Newell, and we will have the same thing when we sign their new contract in 2021. We're just talking, we're down to the wire. If we're making a change in 2021, we would want to budget for that, at least partially. But there's no deadline on when we actually make the change. It doesn't have to be the first, month or first quarter even. We could make the change partially through the year and, budget accordingly the following year.
What I'd like to
Assuming
suggest
we
is
can.
let's stick with the $200,000 for now for the budget. But let's make it a real high priority to get that RFP defined as soon as we can. I mean, by next month or at the latest December.
Dwayne, we should have the RFP sent to you for your input. Probably next week. I think we'll be done with sort of our first pass at it, and then we'll have to add, some of the Laguna Caribe specifics. But we're in
Okay.
that process now, so I think we'll get through it and give it to you in a few days.
All
So
right.
Gary, I need to ask you, are you comfortable? It sounds like we need to hold on to 200,000.
Sounds like it. My only thing was, what would happen if we kept Newell for another year and Dwayne's online, and then we'd really have a good idea on getting bids?
Well, I can tell you, we've got a couple options here. If we budget, say, 200, and we run on our current contract price, we're $50,000 under, but we know we're making a change for the next year. That money can be put into, it's called prior year income, that you would put into your budget under revenue. And instead of rolling that money into the reserves, you would just roll $50,000 in prior year income if it's a surplus at the end of this year. into your operating budget for next year to cover, say, a $250,000 a year contract. So if we don't spend it this year, it can be used to offset that first year the following year, or whatever portion of it hasn't been spent, you know. So
You know, David, we have that option every year to do that, to keep our dues down, and we have never done that, which is not making it right. It makes it wrong to me.
well, I think the reason for that, money rolls into the reserve every year because you've been independent from the developer for what, 7, 8 years now, and you really don't have an established reserve. So I think the goal is to build that up to a reasonable number before starting to reduce fees with surplus funds. And also, you haven't had a lot of equity rolled over from year to year. You know, you come down to a pretty low number sometimes in the bank, or you could. So again, you're getting your equity up, which was recommended by Doug Roding, the accountant, and getting your reserves up, also recommended by the accountant, Doug Roding. Those two things are why it hasn't been used to offset the next year's income.
To wrap this section up, we're going to hold on the 200,000, but we're going fast forward to gather all of the information we need to nail this down. The next GL code, lawn maintenance irrigation. We created that when the board passed last March, I believe, to bring on Arrow for our fertilization and pest control for our turf. Their annual contract is $18,000. There's no guarantees at this time that we'll keep them on board, but I think that pairs into our lawn maintenance plan as well, right?
Yes, definitely.
So we need to hold the place there. We can decrease it, okay, if we choose not to keep their service. So I think the 18,000 needs to stand.
Right. And in the RFP that's created right now, I've asked all of the landscapers to bid that portion separately.
Okay.
So most of the landscapers or anyone that we would want in here would be able to do that service. Typically, you do want one landscaper for everything. So it may be billed separately. It may be part of their bill, but you know, we want a separate breakout if we do make a change that we can see how much we're spending on the fertilization portion of
Excellent.
it, whether it's Arrow or not.
The next one is our management services, which is First Service Residential. As our contract states, we have a 3% increase going from 34,600 up to 35,725 annually. Our pest control is pretty much the same as last year, from 1,000 to 1,100. Our security services and supplies, we budgeted 2,000 last year. We're recommending 2,000 this year.
Deb,
Yes, ma'am.
we spent 0 this year.
Barb, that is my fault. Some of those items that we've processed through Avid have been put into either the gate maintenance for barcodes and security and things, or I think earlier in the year, one of them may have been coded to admin as well. But what that is used for is barcodes and swipe cards, keys for the office, that sort of thing. And, you know, I allocated those in different places, but I think it really should go back to this line item the way it was intended to do for tracking purposes. And that's my fault, but right now we wouldn't go back and transfer all those funds in there.
Okay. And then,
Question. If this is where cameras go, wouldn't we want to bump that a little bit, since we're trying to upgrade the cameras, both in this building and the Welcome Center?
we put that
Or is that
under
next year's
projects.
Oh,
Hold on, I'll tell you where it is, just a second.
as long as it doesn't go in that account, that's all I need to know.
We
Wireless
had
cameras.
agreed to take it out of reserves.
All
We
right,
talked, okay?
that's fine.
All righty, trash removal, we're at 28.5 now. We're proposing 32,000. Was that an increase that you called on?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, okay, that was an increase with, I can't think of the name.
Advanced disposal.
Thank you, advanced disposal. This year on uniforms, we are going to require uniforms finally. We have a new logo. We're going to make sure the staff is dressed appropriately. So I've asked Brittany and Angela to start making suggestions on the uniforms per position. and they know what the budget is. And so we're going to finally utilize real uniforms. All righty, we're finished with our contracts.
Just
one
for
of-
the record, our contract budgeted increase is $84,000.
Okay, I don't have a revised figure on that. The only changes we made, we upped full service contracts to 29, correct?
So then that makes an additional 5,000 onto that. So that makes it 90,000.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I showed a 15% increase. On salaries, in an executive session, the board already discussed the individual employees, plus the 25% burden rate that First Services suggest on that. So we have a $2% increase across the board from 305,000, reduction from 305,900 down to 299,000. So that was discussed in a executive session. We're on to repairs and maintenance under air conditioning, pretty much flat from 9,000 last year for repairs to 9,000 this year. Under lawn, based on trends, we budgeted 5,000 last year. We're going to budget 2,500 this year. Under recreation equipment, that basically would be like resurfacing the tennis courts and the shuffle courts and
Any other equipment?
Any
we
other
do,
equipment,
New
right.
nets, shuffle sticks. which we
So-
don't pay for.
pardon me, we budgeted last year 10,000. We're going to duplicate it to 10,000 this year. Our gate repairs, we budgeted 7,500 last year. We're upping it to 9,000. One on our project list, I think that's where this is. Hold on.
Barcode reader, 6,500.
Yes, our project list under a barcode reader, we do have a firm quote of 6,500 to replace that barcode reader. We're still having a lot of problems with people coming to the keypad. They're trying to get entrance and they're talking to Brittany and she can barely hear them. A new barcode reader would have a screen where you can actually see who's coming into the property as well. So that would come out of under a project under our operational account on gates there.
Why
Okay.
wouldn't that be out of the reserve, Deb, that kind of money?
Because it's under 10,000. And we pretty much have always used 10,000 as a threshold for our reserves, and anything other than that goes to operation.
That was set
I
up.
believe it was 5.
Yeah, and it is set up that way. All righty.
It was set up
Repairs,
in 5.
No, we set that up as 10.
okay.
Okay.
Repairs, general repairs and maintenance, we're at 25,000 for this year. We're projecting out 30,000. I'm going to say that's on trends. Can you help me with that? Because I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, the reason it's trending so high is because we had a lot of projects and things that also came out of there earlier in the year.
Right now, we're at 28,652, I believe.
Right. And that included some larger things earlier in the year. I had the list. I don't have it in front of me. But what we've done is kept it the same as it was in, I'm sorry, we've increased 5,000 from the 2020 budget to reflect some of that usage, but we aren't planning on as many as many of the big issues that we had this year. You know, there was some gate damage. There was some of the early projects in this building before we really dove into it and allocated money. Bathroom repairs. We've replaced a couple toilets and urinal fittings over, you know,
Okay.
electric issues with the lights, light installation, tennis court lights. So we're not planning on installing any more street lights, at least at this time, the next year, or doing any of those big $3,000-$4,000 projects. So
Okay.
30,000 is probably safe.
Thank you. On our Vehicle, truck, trailer, actually what that is our electric golf carts that our staff uses, and we currently have, is it 3, David?
We have 2, well, the green cart is dead at this point, but we have
That
the-
was Jay's cart.
that was Jay's
Yeah.
cart. We have the yellow cart for housekeeping. We have the tan cart that Brittany, Angela, and myself share, and then Chris's Kubota.
Okay, so we have 3 working carts in good order. However, last year, if you remember, board, we did authorize David to seek out the purchase of another cart. If he found one in good shape, I believe still up on the bulletin board, there's a request and a notification to owners if they have a cart that they want to sell that you think is a good,
Yeah.
reliable.
Deb, I
Sir?
just posted one on the website, ISO cart. I might
Okay.
just put it up.
You want to make a note of that?
Sure, yeah.
Look on the Cypress Woods
On
website.
classifieds, I just put it up for my last Thursday.
Okay,
And I just tell you, we did have our yellow cart repaired, and we thought those repairs were good. We charged it up, did the whole thing as they recommended, and we're slightly better, but the cart still moves about 4 miles an hour and dies the same day. So
it's a pedal cart, isn't it?
honestly, you can push it faster than it moves itself. So
Okay.
we will be looking for
All right.
another one sooner than later.
Okay, thank you. The lift station, budgeted the same, 2,400.
Shitty subject. Are we
Maintenance.
getting inspections done on those?
Monthly, they do a full service. They check all the pressures and gaskets and whatever else. I get a report every month.
Okay, maintenance.
That's why they haven't broken.
Sorry. Maintenance supplies. We're trending at 6,800 right now. Last year we budgeted 5,000. We're budgeting 6,000. However, David is writing a purchase policy for us so we can actually track who can order, when they can order, what they can order, how it's checked in, how the invoice is processed from beginning to end. And hopefully we'll have that in place in the next week or so and documented. Okay. Our repairs and maintenance on our pools. I'm looking here. We are trending at 3,300 this year. Am I right on that?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. I can't see my columns too well.
Well, we're projected to be 4438, Deb,
Okay, 4438.
for the end of the year.
Okay, so last year we budgeted 15,000. We decreased it down to 10,000. I'm going to tell you my theory on this. Okay, we're on notice with the Welcome Center. We have to revamp it, not only the pool, but the pool deck. You know, when we did the town center, we thought it was going to be an X amount, and it ended up being what, 40,000 over, because all of the equipment, once you started it back up, it goes defunct.
Well, I don't think it was that much, but it was
It was a chunk of
significantly
money.
higher.
Even though we're on trend for repairs and maintenance of the pool for 4,400, I feel it would be wise to budget the 10,000 for knowing that we could have the same issue with the Welcome Center. Any comments, any questions, any input?
This 10 is not, you're not talking about the actual cost of,
Right.
of what needs to be done up there. This is just to cover the what ifs.
Additional repairs
Yeah.
after the fact that during startup and things that need to be done.
Okay.
Harry, got any comments? Okay, he's good. We're good.
I'm not good, but
I figured. But let's hear your concerns, Barb.
my concern is we're not even going to spend $5,000 this year on repairs and maintenance. We have a brand new pool in the town center. And yes, we are going to probably have to redo the Welcome Center. But we also have that in the plan to come out of the reserve. So I don't see budgeting $5,000 more than what we are projected to spend. I'm done.
I think it's for the unknown. We got hit so badly last year with the unknowns and the startup of the town center. And there's no reason that it wouldn't it wouldn't happen again at the Welcome Center. The Welcome Center pool is even more aged than what the town center pool was.
Yeah, so I agree with Barb. I think, reducing it to 5,000 isn't necessarily a bad thing, knowing that whatever expenses we have, whether it's this 5,000 we're taking out or more, would have to come from reserves during the time. You know, and if we spend it, we spend it, and if not, then it stays in reserves for another project. But I think if we're already spending, 30 grand out of reserves for the pool project, that an extra 5 coming out of there as opposed to operating makes.
So
makes
Barb, what's
sense.
your proposal on this, please?
5.
5. Joe?
I can't, I'll go along with it.
Pat?
Well, we had
Can't hear Pat.
budgeted last year.
Pat, can you talk into the microphone? They can't hear you on the YouTube.
We
or
budgeted
the
last year
Zoom.
15,000, right?
Right.
And this year we're budgeting 10.
But we're on target, we're on trending right now for year end, only 4,400.
So I didn't understand, I didn't hear what Barb was suggesting.
5,000. Drop
Cut it
it
to
from
5?
10 to 5,000.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, I don't,
Can't hear
I
you,
think
Pat.
don't leave it. I'd leave it at 10.
Okay, so Pat's saying he would leave it.
I'm going to change. it.
Joe
Yeah,
says we should leave it. Gary, your thoughts?
I misunderstood.
Well, if we're
something.
redoing it, that welcome center and everything, I don't think we should have that many problems.
So what's your, stay with 5? You want to go to 5? Is that-
Yes.
Okay, Dwayne?
5 is a big cut. I feel better with something a little higher, maybe 7,500.
Sold.
We finished the year in 2019 at 6518 for the year in that same category. So we were higher than 5 in 2019, and we had slightly less this year. But we also paid for the electrical work at the pool out of general maintenance instead of the pool maintenance.
Yeah, we didn't split it out then, did we?
No.
So
Or we
would
would be
the
at
board
9,000.
agree to split the difference and go to 7,500 then?
That was 7,500?
That's Dwayne's suggestion, to split the difference and go 75. Okay,
I can't hear
Yes.
Pat, so I'm sure the community
Sold.
can't either.
okay, we got it. The next line item is a new item that we created for road repairs. We are terribly underfunded in our road repairs. It's going to be not if, but when we're going to have to redo all of these roads. We have put in a new operating account for road repairs, 16,000 this year. Any comments, any input, Pat?
We had 8,000 earmarked for this year, so we're just adding 8. We didn't spend the 8.
That's correct.
So one thing, and this is probably as good a place as I need to bring this up, but we have a couple water issues that we know of in the park. Low water pressure that was not fixed with the new backflow device because it's 99% sure it's the problem that has happened in the past here, which is corrosion on the saddles on the water mains. Those are a complete unknown. We know of 2 different ones right now. There's probably several others where they can't use their water at the moment. So as people get back, we'll have more of these things. And the 2 that we have right now, it looks like we'll have to dig up the road to access those water mains and replace the saddle. So this road repair, for patching large pieces of asphalt, it may get used up quicker than we think also. I mean, some of it will be the general pothole repair, but some will be road repairs from all of the plumbing work that we can't ignore. I mean, we can't let anyone go with insufficient water pressure anymore. So as they tell us, we'll just have to tackle them.
That's a very good point, because I see that happening. And I know Gary's shaking his head, absolutely. So we'll hold on 16,000 then?
Deb, before we go any further on this, I've got a question. Pat, did I understand you to say that we have just increased it by only 8,000? This is a whole new GL code and it says 16,000. We already set aside monies for repairing the roads that we didn't use yet this year. And we have it in this year's fund. So I'm not sure I'm understanding what you said.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we had the 8,000 we were supposed to spend this year. We held off on it because we expected Dwayne to be bringing his trucks and stuff in, and we figured we'd get it all done at one time. So we are budgeting 16,000, but the 8,000 we didn't spend would just end up going into the reserve anyhow. So it's not like we're losing that money. But
No.
I agree, you can't just have the 8,000 because you can't even get a contractor to do a halfway decent paving job for $8,000. And if you look
But-
around at some of the spots where the roots are busting up the side of the road again, by next year, we're probably going to be spending 30,000.
But Pat, that's what that guy went around and gave us the estimate to take care of all of those repairs that need to be done. The roots tearing it up and the blacktop that's already ate up, and the area there by the town center handicap parking area, that all was figured in that estimate. I can't remember how much it was, but we set that money aside. So where's that money? That makes it 24,000 to me.
Well, first of all, the bid was given and observed almost a year ago now, Barb. I'm sure there's a lot more areas that are damaged. You know, we haven't addressed these roads like we should have. You know, that's a statutory requirement as well. So, board, I'm going to leave it up to you. Leave it at 16, or
16.
Gary says 16. Joe, Pat, Dwayne.
What I'd like to see would be a road repair or replacement, I should say, because you do have to basically go in and resurface all the roads every so many years. Typically, asphalt lasts no longer than 20 years and sometimes quite a bit less. I'd like to see us establish a specific road surface reserve fund that would be, that we'd periodically go in and resurface all the roads, whatever, every 20 years or whatever it is. And we're setting aside that much money every year for it.
Dwayne, we
And
do.
road res-
Dwayne, we do have one because it's a statutory requirement, and we currently have, I'm looking here, 82,000, which is terribly underfunded for a 22-year-old community.
I'd like to add something else, Deb.
Please.
I agree with leaving that new figure in there at $16,000 under the stipulation that if we don't repair our roads this year, that 16,000 goes into the road reserve.
Barb, that's what we discussed, that this would be a way to stop taking money out of the reserve. If we put 8,000 in and have to do 16,000 in repairs, the money's going to have to come out of the road reserve. The plan was to have ongoing maintenance in the budget. If we don't spend the 8, just like we did this year, it's going to carry over to next year and we'll have it. And the balance goes into the road reserve. Because we've got to build that up a little faster than we're doing. So that's
I'm glad you explained it, Pat, because that makes sense, just like what I said. I didn't understand that. We were not privy to that.
I know that, but that's the whole plan.
All right, I'm with it.
Good. Moving on. Plant landscaping and sod. That's refreshing old aged landscaping. Last year we budgeted 20. We're on a trend of only 5,900 right now, if I'm reading that right.
Yes, you are.
My headings are blacked out, and I apologize for that, why I keep saying that.
Did those print really dark?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't see. I can't
Yeah,
see
you
it.
Yeah.
can't see them.
And we're planning 20,000 this year. I say the only reason we didn't use the money last year is we didn't have a plan by area, by section, identifying what needs to be replaced and what is aged. We did no upgrades of any great regard last year whatsoever. I would say that we could budget this amount, but we better have a plan by area, by section, and start planning for age landscaping.
I'm working on that with Mark from Newell right now.
Thank
All
you.
of the power transformer boxes, all of those areas, any of the cul-de-sacs and things like that. They'll all be separate items and proposals from Newell.
Well, sadly, just in the D cul-de-sac where we have 5 royal palms that are either dead or dying, we're trying to get an arborist out here to analyze. It could be a fungus. It could be in the soil. It's not an easy remedy, but sooner or later, we're going to have to replace those trees. And I'm just guessing at $1,000 each. I mean, there's $5,000 right there.
Roughly, Newell gave us a quote of 800 apiece, but that did not include putting together the little plant bed around it with the
Okay.
concrete borders and things. They said plan for about 1,000 a piece if we're doing it that way for a like size.
So I think we're in good shape on that. Under our cleaning supplies, we're planning down from 6,000 to 5,000. And our cleaning supplies are trending at right now 3,200. Our water testing, we're gonna budget down on that because we're doing in-house water testing now. So we're budgeting down from 3,500 down to 500. And that was Barb's suggestion and it's worked out well. And we do our water testing. We have our own kits, which
Yes.
were pretty inexpensive compared to what yeah.
It's about $150 for the set of strips, and we use quite a few of them at once. But
Right.
it roughly $500 a year. We'll have to buy the strips 3 times at $150 a piece.
Okay, the next area is really a nemesis for this park. We have an extremely inadequate, aged, defunct irrigation system, and our Chris Lopez maintenance is qualified but not licensed. He is definitely going to get his license this year. It's part of his stipulation for increases. But it is what it is. So whenever there is an irrigation break, we have to bring on a licensed irrigation repair. So we planned 5,000 last year. We're on trend right now for 13,200. Terribly underfunded on that by $8,000 last year. So we felt we have no choice, but we've got to protect ourselves and budget it at 20,000.
Right, and the reason for that increase is with Chris still not being licensed until he is, he really shouldn't be doing any of those larger breaks the way it may have been done in the past. So we do have Newell now that's been doing the breaks for us, and if we switch landscapers, they'll have an irrigation tech as well. We switched away from R&R for several reasons. Cost was one of them, but we may still need them for larger pump issues in the future.
Okay. So with that, total repairs and maintenance, I show a 19% increase, and we went over the key drivers with everyone. We're moving on and almost to the end here on special projects. We added a new GL code called capital improvements to our buildings. We've really never budgeted for anything like this. And our buildings are, 22 years old. So we would like to budget $15,000 a year for capital improvements to our buildings. Comments? Yeah.
Barb, you weren't privy to this conversation too, but this line item went in there. In the reserve, we had the projected reserve. They had $139,000 every 10 years to improve the town center. Well, the reality is we're not going to wait 10 years to make these improvements. We're going to make improvements ongoing, as we go and as we need them. Like they painted the room. We've talked about new drapes. We're talking about lighting. So rather than build a pot of money that sits there for 10 years and say, okay, now we're going to spend it, we put a budget in here so we could reduce what's necessary in the reserve for the improvements to these buildings. So that's what the thinking was behind that line item.
Thank you, Pat. You're reading my mind.
Okay, so the next thing is our special projects. We budgeted 20,000 last year. We're on trend for 20,100. We would like to hold the 20,000 again this year. That's it. Am I right? So let's go to the revenue part. Page 1.
Well, that changes now with some of this calculation.
Yeah, it's going to adjust it a little bit. This is strictly a ballpark. Do you have an adjustment on this, David? On the numbers?
Well, the only thing that changes is the owner assessment number.
And that is going to be what?
$1,359,825. And let me just save this one more time and make sure that updated.
Okay.
So it dropped a little bit.
A very little bit.
Okay. So before we look at the first 2 accounts, I want to drop down to the other form of revenue. Late fee income, We budgeted 1,000 last year. Let me see where the trend is this year. Hold on. Get to the right page. Revenue. Late fee.
40011.
Late fee, we're on trend for 2,150 this year. So we're budgeting 3,000 for this year.
For next year.
For next year, sorry. Return check fees, we really have none ever. Transfer fees, we did a survey of like type resorts. And right now, when anyone buys in here, we charge a $500 transfer fee for administrative purposes, paperwork, you name it. Last year, we transferred,
18.5.
well, I was going to give you the number of lots. Hold on.
Oh,
37 lots we transferred, okay? The budget committee has requested for, on the November 6th meeting, that we'd like the board to consider increasing that to $750 per lot sold. That would basically be 26 lots sold. So we are on trend on the transfer fees right now, 18,500. So we want to budget 20,000 on that, knowing that we would like to increase the fee to 750.
can I ask why you're wanting to increase it, Deb?
Well, first of all, I did the survey. We're terribly under what most organizations charge. The other thing is, it cost us quite a bit of money to transfer these lots over.
Chapter 720 does allow for an HOA to charge up to 25% of their annual assessment per lot, which is basically one of our quarterly fees is the way to break that down. So 750, will be within our quarterly fees for 2021.
What does the HOA spend on this stuff?
What is our expense to transfer?
Right.
Well, internally, it costs, it's labor hours between myself, Brittany, and Angela making the changes to the mailbox, inputting them into the system, getting the new owner set up with swipe cards, barcodes, gate access, anything else that they need. I think Brittany averaged an hour and a half per new owner. But then there was also the time that Angela spent on mail, and then just general time, with new owners, answering new questions, helping them with Comcast and whatever else we need to do to get them set up.
Don't we have to do docs and some estoppel letters, things like that?
Those are paid for by the owner during closing. So those don't actually cost the association money. It's not that it's costing us more than the $500, but it is a source of income, and really that's the person's buy-in to the established reserves, budget, and community of Cypress Woods. Those are typically called capital contribution fees when they're transferred over.
So it's $1,500 increase over what we're on trend to do. Our laundry tokens, we budgeted $5,500 last year. This is income on the laundry. We're on trend for 48.9. We're proposing 6,000 in revenue on that. Again, I think it's because of the occupancy, and we hope they'll stay the full season opposed to departing quickly.
And
Yeah,
we finally have good machines.
Yes. Yes.
And Deb, real quick, you said we're trending. You're saying you're using the word trending for our 9-month year-to-date number, but the trend will actually be 6,500 at the end of the year if we continue with that average
Thank you.
income. So we're
Because I don't have it on the financial statement.
okay. Yeah. So we should finish around 6,500 for the year.
That's
So
what
you
we
can-
had at the end of
if you'll
September. Deb.
Put in, give me the figures to the end of the year. The rent of our spa, no increase, 600 last year, 600 this year. Key fob income, for some reason,
Why
we
don't
don't,
we raise that? Is there a reason? I'm just curious.
it's on the agenda.
Oh.
Okay.
And just so everyone knows, she has paid us another, round of rent that wouldn't show up in these financials. It'll be in the next ones. And we didn't charge her during COVID when we forced her to shut down. So that's why it's only showing 100 year to date, but she's paid us the rest.
Okay, on late fees for delinquent accounts, we collected year-to-date 1278. Do we have a trend on that?
1,700.
1,700, so we are budgeting 1,000 this year, just hoping that people realize that we need timely payments. It helps with cash flow to get our quarterly dues in on time, folks. We don't budget for interest income or reserve income. Miscellaneous income right now, we've had, what? Am I reading 41,000?
That's
No, you're down on miscellaneous other. That's a big issue with me.
Wait, which am I? Miscellaneous income.
220.
There it is. You scared me. I scared myself. We're first 9 months, 220, and Dave on trend is,
293.
so we're budgeting 500 on that.
Yeah, that's mostly just barcodes and things like that that aren't given to new owners.
Okay.
So when renters, if their annual rental, we'll give them a barcode for $10.
All right.
The one that you were scared
Social
by,
committee.
that is social committee, right?
Okay.
Which we have. no
Yeah, at the
control.
beginning of the meeting, I explained that the social committee has an equal expense opposed to an equal revenue amount, and we're required to report that.
Mhm.
So that's a wash. It does not affect our revenue at all, even though we budget for it. Nothing on administrative fee, nothing on demand, storage income. We have 51 lots that we rent, of which 50 we receive income on. And it's exactly the same at $750 a year. 37.5 is what we budgeted, 37.5 last year and this year. And so taking into consideration all of the other revenue, plus what our proposed owner quarterlies would be, we'll go ahead and discuss now what the proposed quarterly increase could be, because we have some numbers to adjust here. Do you have that adjusted figure?
Well,
Deb, I have a question too.
let's see, where am I? I've got expenses at $1,586,386. Is that what you come up with, Dave?
I have to go back to that page. Hang on.
Hold on, let me go back. Say yours again, Pat.
$1,586,386 on the expense side.
Okay, let's see what he comes up with.
I have 1,583,386.
Let's just go, shall we recap it? There's just like 5 items that we're changing. You want me to go down the line item with you?
No, I think I have. But
Okay,
what, we're $3 apart?
We're $3,000
$3,000
apart
3,000.
on $1 million. So it's not bad. We're close. If you gave me that in cash, I wouldn't even notice the 3,000 missing.
Well, you got $1,583,000. You're less than me then.
I do. 1,583,386.
exactly 3,000 off. Let me see if there's a 3,000 adjustment.
Maybe I missed one of the adjustments.
Did you get pool? It dropped down from 10,000 to 75.
Which one?
Pool under repairs and maintenance, the pool. We dropped it.
7,500,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, let's go back real quickly then to pool contract. We increased it from 24,000 to 29.
29.4, right?
I got 29 even. Is it 29?
I believe it's 29.4 that we
Okay,
plan
got
on
it. And then.
as a minimum.
Go to propane laundry under utilities. We dropped it from 15 down to 1,000.
Got that?
And then we dropped water and sewer from 188 to 180.
I think I had that one too. 180, yeah.
That's it. So obviously your finger punched something in wrong.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go back and double check. Anyhow, well,
Probably. I'm just kidding.
Only $3,000.
Yeah, only $3,000.
I've got a question, guys, now that you're done with that. On on administrative fee 40115-00, what was the fee that we took in to the tune of $450 in 2020? What was that for, David?
Those are demand letters that it's, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. I don't know offhand. That's why I didn't budget for it. I don't know what they are. I'll have to pull that line item, but they're negligible. I mean, $450 that was pulled in. I just don't know. I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
So do you have an amended quarterly?
Yes.
Every one of those ones, isn't it?
Right now, total with reserves, we're looking at $793.42 per quarter.
Okay. We are currently at $745 a quarter right now. And with these numbers that we just reviewed, we would come in, I'm going to round it off to $794. So we're talking $50 a quarter, right? Divided by 3. We're looking at about a $16 increase per month to satisfy all of our expenses, our projects, upgrading our services, upgrading our facilities. So that is where we're looking at right now. Any questions? Okay. So David, the next thing that we'll do is go ahead and make sure we get this corrected. We'll get it in the mail to the owners tomorrow because we've agreed on all of these,
Well,
right?
Yeah.
You got something else?
Now, what I do on the revenue side, I add up all the revenue except the owner's assessment.
Right.
Then I subtract that number from the total expense.
Expenses.
So even being $3,000 higher than David, I come up with needing $1,362,825.
You're $3,000 off still.
Well, you're 3,000 lower than I am, so I should be higher.
Mhm.
And I'll find the 3,000.
Why don't we do this after the meeting? You guys, meet and figure out where your 3,000 discrepancy is,
I come
but
up with a lower number.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why.
So that's what we're going to mail out to our owners. I think I'm very proud of what we're presenting here because I think we have great defense in every line item that we have. And Barb, I do thank you. You watch things very closely. So be looking in is this US mail or email, David?
This will be emailed to everyone that we have electronic communication forms on file for. So there's a handful of people that will get them postal mailed. Everyone else will get it by email.
Okay, so this is going out to our owners. Today is the 28th, so it's going out on the 29th. On Saturday, November 28th, 30 days later, we are having a 9 a.m. board meeting for one reason and one reason only, and it's to pass the budget. Okay, and then December 1st, First Services will enter in all the new quarterly payments, get everybody enrolled, get the coupon books going. So by January 1, everyone.
We get that echo every meeting
Feedback.
from the
Okay.
same place.
So that's the timeline. I just like our owners to know that we are, under a timeline
Deb,
on
what,
this.
what was your budget adoption meeting date?
Saturday, November 28th. To vote, the board will vote and adopt the official budget
That's fine. That gives us, if they go out tomorrow, it's 30 days. So
Perfect.
That works.
perfect.
And
Okay.
I added like 1,092 to the maintenance, which just to give us an even number,
Okay.
794 per quarter is what we're working with right
So
now.
November 28th.
Yes, November
Yeah.
28th, Saturday, 9 a.m. It'll be a quick one vote only to adopt the budget. Don't forget, everyone, we do have our monthly open board meeting, which is on the 6th of November. We're putting the agenda together now. We do have several vote items, about 6 vote items in front of us, plus some other discussions. So we're moving right along this year. Anything for the good of all? I just need a motion to,
I got a suggestion.
wait, Joe has a
When
suggestion.
Dave sends this out, if people have questions, have them, if they want to send them in ahead of time, we'll try to answer them going back.
Yes. So in your email, please encourage them to ask questions now.
Yeah, we'll say respond to that email with everything. That way I can track them all in one folder and we'll put them all together, get answers and hopefully get people answers before the meeting, but also respond to all of them during the meeting.
Board, I just want to say thank you, and it's 2 hours extremely well spent. And I thank all of the owners for giving us your time, and hopefully you've learned more about your community and what our goals are to just keep taking it to the next level and the next level and the next level. So on behalf of this entire board, I thank you, and now we need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, this meeting is closed. Thank you.
Deb, what time is the meeting on the 28th?
9 a.m.
9 a.m.